our weekly visit with Adam Terry here, who will be on the call on the Syracuse Sports Network from Learfield for the Friday night game, Halloween night against UNC. Adam and I will be out on the quad, and I think it's going to be very chilly out on the quad, so make sure you pack accordingly, Adam. Let's dive right into the comments that Fran Brown made on Orange Nation earlier today with Stephen Pauly that are kind of making the rounds. He was very honest about the situation at quarterback and how it is an open competition right now at the quarterback position. You got a chance to hear the comments. What was your reaction to Fran being that honest and your take on what Fran said on Orange Nation?
Well, I think first and foremost, you have to appreciate the honesty of Fran, right? Like, he's not a guy that's going to hide behind anything, give you coach speak. You know, he's there to win. He's there to put the best product out on the field. And to me, that's where this shift starts to come is, you know, as much as you want to get one guy experience in Ricky Collins and have him go out there and be successful, you also have to manage all of the other personalities within the locker room and be able to win football games, right? Like, the objective the rest of the year is win enough games to get you into a bowl. And then that gives you 15 extra bowl practices, and you can get better. Now, it seems as though the sample size and what he said, you know, I gave Steve 4 games before the injury. He goes 3-1. We give Ricky Collins 4 games. He goes 0-4. And now it's time for a change. And who that goes to, you know, I have some ideas with who it is and who it's not. But it's another shift in the program into, hey, we put you in a position to succeed, right? And that's, I think, where everybody's starting to come from and saying, you know, we want the best for all of our players. But with that being said, in order to get the best and give the best to the players, sometimes you have to make difficult choices. And I think that's where Fran is going into the last third of the season.
We've seen Luke Carney be out there as the backup in certain situations. For example, the first time Ricky came in the game against Colgate, he loses his helmet. Luke Carney was QB3 at that moment. He comes in for one play. Luke Carney has played 2 games. The other one we all know about when things weren't going well against Pittsburgh. He started the second half, and we've heard Fran talk about Luke Carney. It feels like if they do make the decision to go to Luke Carney, he's more of a run package, run-oriented quarterback. Before we get into maybe who else it could be or other ways to handle the quarterback situation, what's your reaction to, let's say they go to Luke Carney and it's UNC on the other side, and UNC has been pretty good at stopping the run. They're not a great football team, but it seems like they have been pretty good at stopping the run in the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that's the direction, right?
Yeah.
And as we've seen in this offense, Jeff Nixon wants to be able to establish the run game with the running backs, and if we're going to get to the outside, establish that by throwing the ball to the perimeter and allowing either that, whether that's Will Nixon getting out in the perimeter or whether it's a bubble to make sure that you can get out to the perimeter. I don't necessarily see that being in the offense at the quarterback position. If so, right, I think we would have seen a lot more of that with a guy like Ricky Collins, who showed his elusiveness against Georgia Tech and how he was able to move around. But I think if I were the staff and I want to get back into it, I'm going to find the best passer that I currently have on my roster.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that is Luke Carney, not that I know enough or I'm at every practice like the coaching staff in terms of the quarterback situation right now. But Fran hinted last week that there's someone else in the quarterback room that he feels might be better than all of them someday. And we are at a point now where there's 4 regular season games left, so you're not necessarily burning the red shirt unless I guess you want to play him in a potential bowl game. Do you feel like that factors into the decision, too, that we might see someone else that we haven't seen yet, whether it's Joe Filardi, Rich Beelan, anyone else that is in the conversation there beyond Luke Carney because of that scholarship rule and that there is just 4 regular season games left?
Hell, if we're going to a bowl game, that quarterback did something.
Yeah, right.
So in that opportunity, you're going to burn that red shirt. You're going to go and you're going to try to win that bowl game and then have a winning record going into your third season, right? So 2 back-to-back winning records, and then you catapult that into what seems to be a great recruiting class. You're going to hit the portal. You're going to get Angeli back. And if that quarterback was any good, which, I mean, I'm going to throw the name out that I think it's going to be, and that's Filardi.
Yeah.
So, when you start to look at some of that stuff, hell, if you burn his red shirt, you're great. Fantastic. You did a great job. And then you go about your business. And I think that's what it is right now is get somebody in there that can move the ball up and down the field, manage the clock, and then just distribute the ball. Like, I think 60% passing, you don't have to take the world by storm, but in order to keep this offense going, it's going to be predicated upon the pass. And as much as I wanted to say, let's get Yasin Willis, let's get Will Nixon, let's get whoever goes in at tailback, get them going, get them geared up and, rush for 150, 200 yards. The way that we've seen this offensive move and be most effective is having a good trigger man being able to distribute the ball.
You mentioned the name that comes to mind for you is Joe Filardi. I would agree with that as a guy that maybe we will see now going forward, given that Fran is saying it's an open competition at the quarterback position. Adam Terry is with us here, who calls all the games on the radio with Matt Park for the Syracuse Sports Network from Learfield. What do you make of what you've seen or what you've been able to glean from Joe Filardi's high school tape?
Well, I've only seen one game, and I put that on right before I got on here because I knew I was going to have to get asked a couple questions.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's hard to say, right? Like, you see decisiveness and getting the ball out and being efficient and comfortable within his system that he threw in high school. Now, with that being said, a little bit different caliber of athlete that you're going to have to throw the ball against. So, having the ability to distribute the football is going to be key. It's going to be paramount. Like, even if it's dink and dunk all the way down, but you keep the chains moving, we just got to put points up on the board. And in order to put points up on the board, you got to move up and down the field. And in order for the defense to be more successful, which I think when you step away from the game, I have felt good, right? Like the initial gut feel of like, hey, that defense did okay. But they're on the field, turnovers, the ability for that offense. For instance, Georgia Tech, it was very pedestrian of a game that I was watching, right? And then all of a sudden, boom, you look up at the scoreboard and you're like, damn, like, okay, all right. Haynes King can move the ball up and down the field. And at the beginning of the game, it wasn't necessarily him, but towards the end of the game, if you're trying to climb into the Heisman race, you got to be able to run the football and throw it down the field as well. So I just feel as though if we and narrow down and focus and get the quarterback position, this is not a world beater that's going into quarterback, right? We thought Ricky Collins was, I shouldn't say that. The coaching staff thought that Ricky Collins was the best answer. We saw him go into the game. Luke Carney is in the mix. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw all three, to tell you the truth, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is where not being around and watching practices of that nature kind of leaves me a little bit up in the air. But also, just watching this offense, like you need a guy that can pull the trigger and get the ball out. And to me, that was a name that was thrown around later on for him to be a successful quarterback. But, just read tea leaves, and now I can throw that name into the mix of like, hey, we think he could be good. And this was, just conversation a while ago. But if that's the name that was thrown out, then, I don't think anybody has jumped that far significantly in front of anybody.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. All right, let's dive into the matchup against UNC a little bit. I know this is a fascinating team coming in with Bill Belichick and the up and downness to their season, mostly downness. I mean, they are on a 4-game losing streak as well, although UNC has been playing better football in the last 2 weeks, and their defense has been improved into the point where when you look at their numbers, bad offense for sure, with Gio Lopez at quarterback, he's struggled. defense has been pretty average in the ACC, and they're coming off a good performance defensively against Virginia. What do you make of where UNC is at and what they do scheme-wise?
Well, I just think the psychology of teams, right? And if you're not doing as well, and this is just my personal experience being on teams, when you look at UNC, I believe that Bill Belichick's going to get them going, right? Like he's going to muster the energy, the vigor, the mentality to go out on the field. But it's also, you just played a great game against Virginia. You had them on the ropes. Is that the significant letdown that then starts to creep in and disseminate through the ranks of like, man, it's not our year. Okay, let's see how it goes. And I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case, but for Syracuse right now, they've just got to go out and jump on them early, right? Really, this was the recipe for me in the quote-unquote upset against Clemson was get out on them early, take the fan base out of there, and in our scenario, it's jump out on them early. Whatever the fan base is in the dome, it was beautiful and loud the other day, and hopefully it resembles that feel. People bought tickets when this was kind of a key matchup, and now that it's kind of degraded a little bit. But for Syracuse, just go out there, get on them early, get some confidence in whoever the quarterback is, get the defense going. Because when that defense gets going, it's energetic. One of my favorite things is to watch Nick Williams, the DN coach, just get out there, and his passion it definitely exudes throughout that whole sideline. And to me, you do that, you get after them early and try to put them away, right? Like, go after them. And so, to get back to the point, it's that's my recipe for it, and I think that Syracuse has all of the weapons in order to do so.
Yeah, it'll be a fascinating matchup. Two teams that are very hungry for a win, and never thought we would see Bill Belichick inside the JMA Wireless Dome coaching against Fran Brown. It's going to be kind of weird just to see that, but hopefully it is a good crowd for the Halloween matchup Friday night, and I know we'll get you ready for it on the Learfield broadcast, Adam. Again, I think we're going to be outside, and it's going to be chilly, so prepare yourself for that. But we appreciate you coming on.
I'm going to be definitely prepared, but just so everybody knows that you're the one that's handing out candy. I won't be.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, Adam. We'll talk to you on Friday night.
All right. See